In the last stream, we were working on getting started with the power mod, and we did manage to progress quite far into the mod. We got ourselves an energizing orb, we got a bunch of nitro energizing rods, and we finally managed to get our first piece of unobtainium dust, and utilizing the creative tank from Mekanism, which as it turns out is fairly easy to make, at least on the spectrum of creative items that we are going to have to make to finish the pack. We have now managed to fully automate the production of unobtainium blocks. It is slow, very, very slow, but slowly but surely, as we progress forward here, we are going to get more and more of these unobtainium blocks. We already have 12, and the creative chest recipe here only requires 36, and so we're already a good chunk of the way there, more than a quarter of the way there on the unobtainium blocks. And as we push forward towards the creative chest here, we're going to need a lot of creative essence, and I mean a lot of creative essence. If we go ahead and bookmark the creative essence, all of these creative storage upgrades require creative essence. I think it's 20 creative essence per creative storage upgrade, and we need 16 creative storage upgrades, and then each creative essence requires, I believe, 50 Insanium essence. That includes the Insanium essence that you have to craft down into Supremium essence. And so 50 multiplied by 16 multiplied by 20 is a very big number. It's a lot of Insanium essence, and that's not even all of the creative essence that we need. We also need creative essence for the 2 jetpacks. We also need creative essence for the energy cells, and there might even be 1 or 2 more that also require creative essence. And so you get the idea. We need a lot of creative essence, and to do that, we need a lot of Insanium essence. Right now, we have 500. I think we're going to need thousands of Insanium essence, if not tens of thousands of Insanium essence, if we're going to complete the pack and craft this creative chest. So the current system that we have probably isn't going to cut it in terms of getting all of that Insanium essence. What we could do is we could, of course, just get more of the tier 3 power pots and continue building more and more layers to the Inferium farm and just have it go taller and taller and taller forever, but I think there might be a better way for us to potentially do that, and that is via the use of the seed reprocessor. There are a bunch of different tiers of seed reprocessor here. It starts with Inferium, of course, and works all the way up to Insanium. The idea here is that the Insanium seed reprocessor can process 1 item per tick. That's what the operational speed means there. And 1 tick basically means that it can do 20 per second, because there are 20 ticks per second in Minecraft. And the idea behind the seed reprocessor is that it takes a mystical agriculture seed and turns it into that seed's associated essence. So for example, if we had a diamond seed, we could take that diamond seed, place it into the seed reprocessor, and it would get us 2 diamond essence. That is somewhat useful. It's a nice way to kind of use some of our old seeds, I guess. But what's more interesting is the fact that the Inferium seed here does have an EMC value. And so what we should be able to do is use some of the 7 billion EMC that we have to infinitely produce Inferium seeds that we then automatically pump into an Insanium seed reprocessor to have them almost instantaneously transformed into essence, which of course we can then pump around into our crafter here to make more Insanium essence. That's the plan. I think if we get a lot of Insanium seed reprocessors, I'm talking maybe over a stack of Insanium seed reprocessors, we should be able to start making a staggering amount of Insanium, and that should give us the amount of Insanium required to actually complete the pack and make all of the creative essence that we are going to need. Now, in order to make this, it's not too difficult, but unfortunately we do have to run through the standard rigmarole here of all of the different tiers of seed reprocessor, to the point where I think it's probably worth just teaching our system how to do a lot of this. The basic seed reprocessor here does have an EMC value, and is made with 2 iron hose, which of course we can make very easily, along with 1 machine frame, which looks fairly straightforward. It is indeed. And then the only thing that I think we don't have is 2 solium ingots. These can be made by smelting regular iron ingots. Interesting. Okay, I don't know if that's a standard recipe for solium ingots, but I am not going to complain. I'll do something like that. I will grab the resultant solium ingots, quickly teach those to our transmutation tablet, and then boom, that gets us the seed reprocessor, which we'll also teach. And then if we grab, let's say, 2 stacks of seed reprocessors, we can drop those in the system, and now we can look at teaching our system how to craft the different tiers of seed reprocessor. Of course, we are going to have to go ahead and teach it all of the different crafts in here, like the tertium ingots, the tertium blocks, and all the other ingots and blocks as well along the way. But especially if we're going to be getting like 2 stacks of these, we're going to want to have our system do it for us just to make our lives that little bit easier. Crafting all of this manually, I think, would be a bit of a pain in the backside, because all we need to do now is just teach it each and every one of the blocks, which should be pretty straightforward. We're probably also going to want to teach it how to craft down Insanium Essence. So what we can do is just go and get some Insanium Essence from the drawer downstairs, drop that in the system, and then teach the system how to downcraft it on its own, and basically allow the system to do everything that we would do, but without us. Okay, so I've taught the system here how to craft all of the seed reprocessors, all of the ingots, all of the blocks, and how to craft down the Insanium all the way through to Inferium, should it be needed. And the only thing that I think could be a problem here is that we don't actually have that many Prosperity Shards left, and unfortunately, the Prosperity Shards don't have an EMC value. I do believe that we can make Prosperity Shards by smelting blocks of Inferium, but that is a little bit of an expensive way of doing things. It's probably going to be easier if we just head back through to the mining dimension and see about mining a bunch of Prosperity Shards. But just to get an idea of what we need here, let's take some of the Insanium we have. Let's drop that into our system, and then let's see if we can't request some seed reprocessors. It'll tell us here what we are missing. So if I want a stack of them, we are missing 1,000 Insanium, which is kind of problem number 1. We're missing a bunch of iron, which of course we can just EMC in, and then 3,000 Prosperity Shards. Okay, so it takes Insanium to make Insanium. So we're going to take all of the Insanium that we have, which obviously isn't 1,000. So we're probably going to have to temper our expectations, at least initially. But of course, the idea here is that we can use our Insanium to make more Insanium, and then we can use that Insanium to get even more reprocessors, and therefore make even more Insanium, and we can kind of snowball from there. So if I wanted 24, that is doable. I don't know if we quite have enough. I imagine we would have enough to make 32. No, we're missing just a little bit of Insanium. 30, also not doable. 25 should be doable. It is, okay. So we'll shoot for 25. That is 1,164 Prosperity Shards, and then 225 Iron Ingots. Of course, the Iron Ingots, super easy. We can just do this, and we can drop all of those Iron Ingots into the system, and that is not going to be a problem. Make sure we take that time in a bottle bag out so it doesn't end up in the system, not gaining time for us. And yeah, I think I'm just going to quickly head through to the mining dimension and see if we can't get a few stacks of Prosperity Shards, which shouldn't be too difficult because they are absolutely everywhere. Chat is right in that we can utilize the miner, aka the builder, that we have here. If I were to throw down a flux point and give that some power like this, we should then be able to change the filter. Oh, we don't have this area claimed, eh? Okay, that makes a bit of sense. Does this retain its inventory? It does. Fantastic. Okay, that's fine. Not ideal, but it's okay. So what we should be able to do is in here, if we go to the filter, right now it is currently set to Draconium Ore. We can remove that, or we can go ahead and add a tag for Prosperity Ore. Double click and save. So now if we drop that back in, we can change the setup here, and we'll make this like 30 and 0, because we don't need to go quite as low to try and find Prosperity Ore. It's kind of everywhere. And so if I go ahead and turn that on, that's going to get us Prosperity Shards surprisingly quickly, actually. I will turn off the limit, even though I don't know if that should matter too much. One thing that's probably going to cause us a problem here is that our base in the overworld isn't chunk loaded. And so when we're not here, the Draconic Energy Ball here isn't able to send power over. And so we do have a bit of a problem there where we're not always going to have power in the mining dimension, but I don't think that should be too big of an issue because we are already getting a ton of Prosperity Shards. And I guess worst case scenario, we could maybe just bring some kind of smaller energy cube over to kind of fill this up and keep it going. But to be honest, this is working just fine. Let me take these, let me head back through, and I'll keep just kind of jumping back and forth until we have enough Prosperity Shards here. In fact, we got over 1,000 there, and I think that's probably more than we're going to need. So if I once again try and get 25 seed reprocessors, start and start, hopefully that won't take the system too long. This crafter here is very fast, and basically everything that needs to be done here is just a simple crafting recipe. And so it's done. There we go. We have 25 seed reprocessors. And now we just need to get enough EMC links. Now, as I mentioned before, these can process 20 Inferium seeds per tick. And so we need an EMC link that can produce at least 20 per second, which is going to be the tier 6 variant, I think. Annoyingly, it looks like Isaac of the Past, being the fool that he is, has saved tier 7 and tier 5, but hasn't saved tier 6. We could use tier 7, that would work as well, but I do think that we're going to need a lot of these EMC links, and the difference in cost between tier 6 and tier 7 is quite substantial. And if we're going to end up, eventually building potentially, 64 or 128 of these purple EMC links, and to go along with a stack or two of seed reprocessors, we're going to want to try and save that difference in price, especially when that difference in price is close to 100 million EMC. And so we'll take a bunch of the tier 6 EMC links, and essentially all we are going to do here is throw down an EMC link like this. Then we can grab an item pipe along with the wrench. We can throw the item pipe down like that. We can throw the seed reprocessor down as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you do have to pipe into the top of the seed reprocessor. I'll disconnect this for a second just to see if that works, but I'm fairly certain that it does require input from the top. We'll give this a flux point, like so. And then in here, if we set this to Inferium seeds and we set it to extract, this doesn't work. That's fine. We can disconnect here. We can reconnect here. And look at that. We start to see Inferium seeds being generated. The only thing we then need is some kind of pipe upgrade. I don't think we need the highest tier of pipe upgrade here, because I think the lower tiers might do the trick. Let me try this improved pipe upgrade. So in the top left there, this transfers 16 items every 10 ticks, which means it's going to transfer 32 items every 20 ticks, which is enough. You'll see it's backed up here. If I take this out, this does stay stable. If I keep taking all of this out, this doesn't run out of Inferium seeds on the left-hand side. And so we can just take all these, of course, and then using even more item pipes, which we can grab from the transmutation table, we would then extract from here, which again, you might have to do from the bottom. I think it might work kind of like a regular furnace. Let me try that. Oh, never mind. I think that might be working. Again, you would need some kind of pipe upgrade to allow us to make this work. Chat is right in that I should EMC the pipe upgrades here to make sure that we can make a lot more of them without having to do it manually. Let me quickly do something like this. And again, this can move the same amount, but we're actually duplicating what we produce here. We put one seed in and we get 2 Inferium essence out, and so it might be worth upgrading to the next tier of pipe upgrade here, that being the advanced pipe upgrade. This one, if we also quickly teach it to our table, can move 32 items every 5 ticks. So this can move 2 stacks every second, which is more than enough. And so this here is the general idea. So this is the basic setup. And so now it's just a case of duplicating this, 25 times to begin with. And then as we get more and more Insanium, continuing to duplicate that further until we have just a staggering amount of Insanium coming in that we can then use for Creative Essence. And so what I think I will probably do here is I think I'll probably expand out this area back here. I'll probably build another platform kind of like this one, another wide and short platform right about here, and we'll line up just a bunch of these. We might change it up a little bit. I think it makes sense to put the EMC link on top just to save on space and allow us to cram more in the same space. And then I might even use like another ender chest frequency to bring all these together so we don't have to run a super long pipe from all of the seed reprocessors round to this crafter. But yeah, let me quickly go and craft up a new platform and see if we can't get these set up. So we've got a replication of this platform right here. We've got some more space. And as I mentioned, I think what we're going to do is probably get more ender chests here. Right now, the only ender chest we have is this one, I think, that is taking nether stars and sending them over and around to the nether star generator. I think what I will probably do here is get some dye, maybe 2 pink dye, and I think I'm going to change the frequency of this ender chest. So I'm going to take out the nether stars, and we can make some space in our inventory here as well. And I'm going to change the frequency of this ender chest, basically because I want to use the white frequency for moving Inferium, just because it's going to be faster. Because what we can do now is we can do this. Fantastic. So those are connected again, but now back over here, we're going to need to get a stack of diamonds because we still need to lock each ender chest to my network specifically. But now we've got so much space and we can really cram these in because we can put, for example, an ender chest down like this. We can place down a pipe above that, like so. We can then place the seed reprocessor above that. We can place another item pipe above that, and then we can place the EMC link right at the top. And then essentially we're just going to duplicate this setup a bunch of times. We're going to get even more of both tiers of pipe upgrade, this one and this one. We're going to put the gold tier in here, and we're going to put the non-gold tier, also known as the diamond tier, in here. And yeah, this should work. Of course, we are going to put in the flux point. The only downside to the flux point is that that takes up space, because I guess we could put it here, but that does mean that we can't put like another one directly in front of this, which is not ideal, but that's fine. We can probably have rows of these, and that makes it a little easier for me to walk between them. And the Twitch chat is right in that this is potentially a place where we could use the copy-paste gadget. If I go ahead and switch this back to copy mode, and I go from here up to here, Twitch chat does make a good point here in that we could actually, once again, utilize the modular routers to really pack these in, because the modular routers can wirelessly send the power out. And so that could work, actually. Let me see here. If I do, I think the trouble I'm running into is that the copy-paste gadget doesn't like it when I right-click on the EMC link here. So if I do this, and I have this in copy mode, and I right-click here, and then I right-click here, maybe shift right-click here, there we go. And then I set that to paste. Can I now paste this? I can. Of course, the offset needs to be tweaked. We need to bring this much closer to us. Right now, it's set to what we used for our previous platform. We're going to move this all the way back to 0. And it doesn't look like it likes the ender chest. Like, it's not going to put the ender chest down. But what we can potentially do is just this. And that is not correct. It did put the ender chest down, even though it didn't look like it was going to do it. Thankfully, there is an undo button right here. Let me try it here. That totally worked. Nice. So we can just do something like this. We did put one down in the next row there, but that's probably fine. And that's just going to place down a ton of the same setup, which is really nifty. It's kind of exactly what we were after. Let me see if I can grab some stone real quick just to fill in that hole in the floor. Of course, we don't need the wood at the top there. If I get the wood out of my inventory, it's going to stop putting that down, which is ideal. But this here is pretty nifty, and I do think that utilizing the routers to wirelessly send power to all of these is going to be ideal, because it's going to allow us to just pack in as many as we can fit in the number of tiles that we have on this platform. There is a point to be made here that we probably don't need this many ender chests. It is quite satisfying when they all open at once, but to be fair, we probably can just get rid of every ender chest that isn't the first one, because then all of these will still pipe to that same ender chest because they are all connected. And so essentially all we need to do is just go ahead and do this. I do think it would have looked better with that many ender chests down, but I think practically this makes more sense. And of course we can just continue this on now. And if we get rid of the ender chests out of our inventory as well, I guess we can put them back into the transmutation tablet, much like with the wood a second ago. Now when we go back to paste mode, it should paste everything that isn't the ender chest. And you know what, we'll start with, I'm not going to start with the second row just yet, actually. Oh no, we can start with the second row. Never mind. We can just do this, and it's going to start putting them down without the ender chests, which is ideal. And we've got one more seed reprocessor that we can put right about there. Nice. So let's give all of these a seed. Oh, I do not own this. All right. So it turns out that if you have the copy-paste gadget place the EMC links down for you, they don't then belong to you. All you got to do though is just break them and place them back down again, and then you can go ahead and assign them to whatever you like. So I have assigned all of these to Inferium, and so now it's just a case of going through each one of these, making sure that all of these are set to extract, and of course installing all of the correct pipe upgrades into all of the correct connections, and then we'll go and grab some modular routers, and we'll see about connecting those up to provide these with power in the exact same way that we've done with our power pots. Okay, so we have a modular router here, and we can power a lot of these with one modular router. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we can go 1, 2, and if we head on around the back here, we can continue with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if I overlapped some there actually or not, But we'll find out as soon as we put all 3 of these into here. Whether or not it's going to get all the way down here, I don't know. We might have to put in a range add-on or two. But let us go ahead and configure this to our network. And of course, we do also need to get some energy upgrades to allow this to actually accept energy in the first place. But if we do this, that should start to fill up and should start to distribute power to most of them. It's not getting all the way to the end there, but that is fine. We can go ahead, grab some range upgrades, and then we can put those, I believe, into the actual modules themselves, right? So once again, let me get rid of these for the time being, and then let's grab these guys, and then we'll just fill each one of these with range upgrades. Not that each one requires range upgrades, but it's just easier than trying to manually figure out which one of the 3 is in need of range upgrades. And then we can put them all back in. And now they should be sending power, to everything, which is great. And so all of these should be working. Down here, this is probably full of Inferium Essence. It is indeed. Let's grab yet another Ender Chest. This time around, we are almost certainly going to need the highest tier of item pipe. Potentially even then, that might not be enough, but we'll find out. So let's go and, of course, quickly get a diamond to link this to us. Nice. There is all of our Inferium. And then now we have the advanced pipe upgrade. If we want to upgrade that to the final tier of pipe upgrade, the ultimate pipe upgrade, we just need some netherite, which we have, and we can put that in here just as soon as we set it to extract. And this is going to move 64 items a tick, which looks like it is maybe holding up, but I don't know if... Yeah, I don't think it's good enough, I think it's not at all fast enough. What we can do here is we can take this pipe upgrade out. We can put it in here, of course, to teach it to our transmutation tablet. And then if we grab even more of these, you can put multiple of them around one ender chest. So if we were to do something like this, and like this, we could set each one of these to extract and then put a netherite pipe upgrade into each of these to allow it to effectively pull 64 items per tick from all 4 sides here, which should pull them a lot faster, but apparently still not fast enough. That is interesting. The crafter here is bizarrely running out of power, of all things. It's on fast mode. Yeah, the crafter is just not fast enough as well to keep up with the throughput. That could be the limit, actually. It could be the limit is the Inferium Essence here. I'll go ahead and free up some of these slots. Not that I really think it's going to matter here. I think that that the crafter just isn't fast enough. It is in fast mode, but it seems like power is a problem. We could try initially putting down more flux points here. I don't know if that's going to solve the power problem. Oh, it is. The power is going up there. But whether or not that's solving the crafting problem is a different question. The Twitch chat is suggesting that maybe it might not be a bad idea, actually, to get more crafters and maybe have one crafter per tier, or maybe even multiple crafters per tier, honestly. We might need to get multiple crafters just to craft Inferium into Prudentium, and then we could use, fewer crafters, but maybe a few more to craft Prudentium into Tertium, and then Tertium into Imperium, and then Imperium into Supremium, and then, of course, into Insanium. So that could work, and probably will work. Of course, we do need to move this showcase one as well. We'll move that over and add it to the line in just a second. But, yeah, let me go get some more crafters, and let me see if we can't make this viable. Before we try multiple crafters, actually, it does turn out there is one thing we could do here, and that is that we could initially craft all of our Inferium Essence into Inferium blocks, and then use these recipes here to upcraft the Inferium blocks all the way up to Insanium blocks, and then just downcraft those into Insanium Essence when we need it, or even just store it in Insanium block form. That would also work. And so one way that we could probably do that is via the use of a compacting drawer. The compacting drawer here is pretty straightforward. I will request that my refined storage system make me 2 pistons. The actual drawer itself does require a regular storage drawer, which we've made previously, and thankfully isn't too difficult. We need 6 wood and 1 chest. I guess it's a regular drawer that we can then upgrade to a compacting drawer. The idea here is that we can pump regular Inferium into the compacting drawer, and I did take torches out of my system because I noticed that we were going to have a mob problem, but then I didn't put the torches down in time. That is my bad. I should also definitely go and get another feral flare lantern so that we can get rid of these torches nice and quickly, and of course make more room for more seed reprocessors. But back over here, we can put Inferium Essence directly into here, and then it's available in block form. So we can have our Ender Chest pump into the compacting drawer, and then extract from the compacting drawer up into this crafter. We're just going to have to change the recipes in the crafter from regular essence to blocks. So let's move the compacting drawer, and we'll put the compacting drawer down right about here. We're going to extract from that compacting drawer up and into the crafter. Of course, we're going to disconnect here. That doesn't want to be there. And we will put in, I guess we'll go with the netherite upgrade, even though I don't think it's going to be needed here, because that's a lot of blocks. One thing we do probably definitely want to do is whitelist it so that only blocks of Inferium are pulled out. So in here, if we right click, we can go click add, put in the block, and click submit. And now because this is set to whitelist, anytime that we put Inferium Essence in here, it's only going to extract the blocks. Right now, that's not going to do anything. I am going to go ahead and turn this off temporarily because we need to swap out all of these recipes. We need to change this to this, hit apply. We need to click forget on basically everything so we can empty out the crafter here. And then that should start to pull things in block form. Of course, we are going to have to kind of turn off, for now at least, the pulling from the right because we don't want any of the Inferium Essence from our colossal chest going in here unless it goes down through the compacting drawer first, which is probably what we'll do. We'll just reroute that down into the compacting drawer. But once we've taken out all of the Inferium Essence and made sure that all of it is down here, we can turn this on. That's going to make a bunch of Prudentium blocks. That's going to allow us to change this recipe right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll hit apply again, and then we'll go ahead and turn it back on. And then here we can change this recipe with the same 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll hit apply again, and then you get the idea. We'll do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit apply again. And at this point, we just need more Inferium. So let's once again try this, where we have the item pipe extracting from the ender chest over into the compacting drawer. So if we extract here and we put in our pipe upgrade, that is going to send more up here. Down here, we just need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and hit apply. And then here, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and get rid of some of these crafts. I don't think we're going to need these going forward. And instead, we can try and grab the... I'm going to go ahead and turn it off because it's just not going to work otherwise. We'll grab the Master Infusion Crystal and teach it actually to not send that to EXTC. We're just going to say int apply. And then down here, we're going to change this recipe to just crafting the Insanium Essence block down into Insanium Essence, and we'll just have that go to the output slot. I think that's good. And then if we go ahead and turn this on again, we do need space, which is kind of one of the problems here, because we need to make sure that all of the blocks have a space to go. So we kind of probably want to temporarily turn this off again, like that. And then we need to be able to teach the crafter. I'm going to put it back into slow mode because we need to turn it on. And then we need to free up space. And we need to make sure that there is space available for stuff like this. So I can hit remember, and it's going to remember the Supremium. And then we'll do the same again here. We'll take out another stack and kind of start putting stuff back in here. We'll take out another stack and temporarily disconnect that as well. We'll take out another stack and put that in like there. Okay, so now that should work. We can turn it back to fast mode. That's going to start producing those nice and quickly again. And ideally, this should be better than what we had previously. Whether or not it's enough for the number of seed reprocessors we have and the number of seed reprocessors that we're going to need, that is a different question. It looks like I messed up here. We don't have a block saved for the second, the Prudentium, I think it is. I need to make sure that we hit remember at the right time there to make sure that Prudentium gets a spot, which it has now, which is good. And so now we should be good. Let me once again do this and do this, and let's see if that is good. It is good. It's working. Cool. Okay. That's much better. That is substantially better. All of that is getting processed, and we're getting a lot more Insanium. You'll see we're almost back up to the 500 that we had at the start of the stream, which is fantastic. And let's go check over here. Yeah, these are all chugging away. So right now, this is doing a pretty good job. I can't help but notice a lack of power is kind of our problem here. And that seems to be because the modular router is our bottleneck. There's a potential that if I put some speed upgrades in there, that might solve that problem. but it's also possible that we might just have to get more modular routers and maybe have one modular router dedicated to fewer seed reprocessors, because right now this one router is doing a lot of work. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting that it probably doesn't need to do. And I don't think that we can put in more than one stack of energy upgrades, although I could be wrong on that. Let me quickly try doing this. Yeah, you can't. So with 64 of these, increases a router's energy buffer by 50,000 FE and transfer by 1,000. So right now, this can move 64,000 RF per tick, but I don't know how much these seed reprocessors use. I think the answer is more than 64,000 in total, because you'll see that we're not able to keep up with all of these. And so let me get a few more routers down and let me connect those routers to fewer seed reprocessors. Never mind, chat is right. We can just put down more flux points apparently onto this one router, and now it is keeping up. It's getting enough power and it's powering all of the seed reprocessors. And over here, this is also keeping up quite nicely. And the Insanium is coming in faster. And so now I'm going to take that Insanium, I'm going to make even more seed reprocessors. We're going to basically double up what we have here, and we're going to see if that is still capable of keeping up. All right, so we've added a lot more seed reprocessors here. I was initially just going to do 25, but I just ended up making enough to go to the edge here. I think we ended up making like 27 or something. But now these are all down. I have moved the modular routers here, and now we have one per line of machines. There is no center to this platform. There's like a 2-wide center. So we're going to have the first one here, then one here, and then we'll just zigzag them back and forth as we add more rows to this to keep up. If we need to add more rows, that is, because over here, once again, we are now at a point where we're making more Inferium than we can actually move. You'll see at the end here, some of these are just sitting with a chest full of Inferium. And the problem right now is actually this pipe here, because this only has a few blocks of Inferium in it. And so what we could do is we could go ahead and do something, again, like we did before, like this, where we put down another pipe, extract, and give it another ultimate upgrade. That's going to start moving those a lot faster, and now it looks like we are once again moving them out faster than they're coming in, which is fantastic, and that appears to still be fine. The swap from using the essence to using the essence blocks has effectively made this like 9 times faster, which is very nice indeed. And whilst we were setting this up, I did some kind of back-of-the-napkin calculations with the Twitch chat, and it looks like we're going to need about 20,000 Insanium essence to make this work. That's calculating, that's including all of the creative storage upgrades, all of like the jetpacks and stuff. We're going to need about 20,000. That's not including, of course, the unobtainium. If you're making the unobtainium the slow way, then you would need even more, because you need to get a ton of creative essence and a ton of Insanium essence for that unobtainium dust. But excluding the unobtainium dust, I think we need about 20,000 Insanium essence, which is a lot, but even though I just spent 500, we are almost back up at like 700 Insanium essence here. And so I don't think it's going to be that difficult, famous last words, for us to get 20,000 Insanium essence. One thing I can do here, even though it's going to be a small uptick in the grand scheme of things, is we can go ahead and utilize a tier 2 sender to send some of the Inferium from the chest down to here. So if we have this, we did put the puller upgrade away. If we grab that puller upgrade, I think this one is configured to Inferium. It is. We can put that back in here, but then we can use the sender module, that being this one. So I'll put the puller module back in. That's going to pull a stack of Inferium. I think here, the sender module Mark II, we can just connect it to that drawer, and then if I put that in there, I think that's going to pull the Inferium out of the drawer and pump it into here. It is. Nice. You can see all the items flying through and getting sent around into here. Cool. So that just allows us to use the backlog of Inferium that we're also making using our power pots. And so now we have a ton of stuff that's all working together to produce the Insanium. And so, yeah, hopefully getting 20,000 Insanium. It's a lot of Insanium. It's an insane amount of Insanium, but hopefully it is not going to take us too long to make that a reality. And I might go ahead. We could put down more seed reprocessors. You know what? I think I have to. Yeah, I think I'm going to put down another row or two of seed reprocessors, because I don't know how long it's going to take us to make some of the other creative items here. I don't think it's going to take us that long, really, to make a lot of these, because a lot of them are kind of mostly just EMC. Stuff like the creative energy cell here, once we have another ultimate singularity, really isn't too difficult. In fact, if I go and turn you off and you off, and of course, if I also go ahead and turn you off over here, we're going to start to lose a lot of EMC, of course, but the making of the actual creative energy cell here, I don't think is going to be that hard. We already have the atomic alloys and the reinforced alloys. That bit is easy enough. All we need to do then is get the different tiers of energy cube. It's kind of the exact same thing that we did with the creative tank that's also from Mekanism. Steel casings we've made before, that's fine. The infusion alloys we've also made before. We'll take some of those as well. We'll drop all of that into the system. We don't need that much of it, of course, but energy tablets, we'll take one of those, and then we'll EMC the rest of those, and then I don't think these stack, which is really the only annoying thing about them. We can drop all those back in here as well, like that, and then that's a tier 1 energy cube done. Then the tier 2 energy cube is also done. It does require the tier 1 energy cube, and so we will do the smart thing of doing a bit of teaching here before we move up. There's the tier 2 energy cube. All of the tiers here, I believe, do have an EMC value. For this one, we just need some more alloys, which of course we can grab out of our transmutation tablet. There we go. Do we have what it takes for this? We totally do. We'll take that. We'll put it in here. And then you guessed it, the final one is the exact same process. We put you in, we take you out, and we do something like this. We can actually just go ahead and burn that one. And that's it. We are basically good to go. If we were to go ahead and grab all of the energy cubes here, which again is 4 ultimate, 8 elite, 12 advanced, and then 16 basic, we just need to wait on that ultimate singularity, which hopefully won't be taking too much longer. And that's it. Then we have the ultimate energy cube. And so my thought process here is that even though this is fast, I think at the current speed, it might still be the bottleneck because of how easy I think it's actually going to be in the grand scheme of things for us to craft everything else that we need, all of the other creative items. Okay, so for whatever reason, this system down here with the wireless redstone seems to not be working as intended. For whatever reason, when I turn the lever off, all of the redstone receivers go off, but not all of the routers actually work. You'll see here we've got 3 emerald singularities, 1 coal singularity, we've got 2 over here, and then we've got 3 nickel, but a lot of them have not even begun doing anything, and you'll see here that we're not actually getting like uranium. Uranium is not coming down here, whereas over here, we are still getting Invar. Invar is moving, when they should all be moving. So I'm not quite sure what's up with that. I'm not quite sure why some of these are getting, like, are working without the redstone signal and others aren't. I'm not quite sure what the idea is there. If I remove these entirely, this here is working. This one here is also now working. This one's working. This one here isn't working. It's at 5632. But if I get rid of its redstone block behind it, now it starts working again. I'm not quite sure what the deal is there. I'm just going to get rid of these, and I think we're going to have to go back to a more primitive system where we just have a lot of levers, and when we want to turn them off, we just go ahead and turn all of them off. Can you not have a lever next to a lever? Interesting. This seems a little bit broken. I have a feeling that... Oh, but hold on. Is that because this down here is flipped? Give me a second. If I turn that off, does that, like, flick all the levers? They're down, and they're all back up. Okay, so that's this being weird. If I take all of these out, now I can configure these individually, which makes sense. So this is working, and it's not working. Interesting. So... yeah, okay, I think we're just gonna have to retire the wireless redstone. Like, we'll get rid of this, we'll put all of these cards back into the system for the time being, and then we can just use levers, because apparently those work, and for whatever reason, this wireless redstone system, whilst more interesting, in my opinion, just doesn't seem to be doing the job. I am gonna replace the black hole unit here with a compacting drawer, because the black hole unit that we have can only store 2,000 items, whereas this compacting drawer can hold 128 stacks, but that's 128 stacks of the blocks, and so 128 stacks of blocks is 128 multiplied by 64 multiplied by 9, which is like 74,000 insanium, which is way more than we're going to need, or I should say way more than the 20,000 that we're going to need. So we'll just take all of this and we'll drop it all in here, and that should be good. It should continue to work and should continue to hold all of the insanium we need, whereas this was already full and was already not going to do the job we wanted it to do. And yeah, now we're just going to wait a few more minutes here for us to get the remaining singularities, and then we can go and craft up that creative energy cell. And then next time, chat, I think we'll come back and we'll look at doing a few of these other creative recipes. The creative controller looks easy enough. The creative energy cell shouldn't be too difficult. We've done a lot of the power work already. We can get a lot of the different tiers of crystal from power here just through the power pot that we have upstairs. We do need to get another Everlasting Guilty Pool. We do need to go fight the Gaia again. And then, of course, we do need to ideally automate, I think, the creation of creative essence using the ultimate crafting table here, which shouldn't be too difficult. You can use the auto crafting table to automate this, which is going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier. And then we can just take those. And again, everything else here has an EMC value. So once we have the creative essence done, it's just a case of EMCing everything else here to get that creative storage upgrade. And at that point, chat, I really don't think we're too far away from the end of this pack. We do have to craft a few of these things multiple times, but the creative fluid tank was pretty easy. Getting 6 of those should be pretty straightforward. The creative energy cube also seems fairly straightforward. We're going to take 1 of each of these singularities here. And for now, I might just leave this going. We do have 8 billion EMC, and it seems like we are actually surprisingly going up in terms of the amount of EMC that we have. These ones here are coming in a little bit slower, and the reason for that is that they're not coming in at all. Are these supposed to be on? No, they're supposed to be off. I don't know why those aren't coming in. Again, we're still getting, by the looks of it, more... This is... I don't know why this is not working. We're getting yet more emerald singularities, but then the redstone one right next to it isn't working, despite the fact that the lever is off and it should be working. Interesting. If I flick it on and off, then it works? Okay, fine. Let me do this and this and this. That's going to bring all those back online. For now, I'll leave all of them on because we are going to need quite a few more ultimate singularities, and it seems like our EMC is keeping up all right. But once we have all of the remaining singularities, we'll go make the ultimate singularity. And then, yeah, we're just going to make more of the creative energy cubes going forward. We need 6 of those in total as well. Boom. And boom, there is our second ultimate singularity. And as I said before, I think, chat, this should be pretty straightforward here. So we're trying to make the creative energy cube. For that, we need a bunch of the different tiers of alloy. Let's take a stack of each. I think that might be enough. And then energy cube. Let's take 1. These don't stack, unfortunately, so we'll go ahead and take 1, 2. Wait, did I just dump everything in my inventory that had an EMC value into here? I did. Let me take that back. I will take 4 of those, and then we need 8 of these. I'll put these in first. I don't think I can shift-click this in. I can't, so I have to kind of... Once I have enough stuff in that we can hold all of the remaining items in our inventory, then we can shift-click it in. But until that point, we do have to put in these initial items manually. So we'll do that. We'll, of course, put you in the center, like that. And then we just need to get all of the other energy cubes, that being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of those. And then I don't know if we're ever going to be able to shift-click this in because we just need none of this stacks and we need so many of the basic energy cubes to make this happen. Boom. And boom. Nice. Okay, there is a creative energy cube. Unfortunately, in this pack, you do get this creative energy cube when it's empty. And so it doesn't have any power in it. It doesn't store infinite power like it used to. Our network has gone offline. I'm not quite sure why that is. We can't possibly be out of power. We are still making 25 million FE per tick, and we do have an 8.6 trillion FE backlog. So why in the world has my system gone down here? Let me set this to like priority 10. There we go. I don't know why that would be a problem though, because we should be able to pull, unless I've not set this to disable limit. Oh no, I have. That's disabled, and then this one also here is also disabled. Yes, that should be working. The input here is massive. I'm not quite sure what's up with that, but either way, that system is now back online, and we have the creative energy cube, and so getting, 5 more of those really isn't going to be a problem, especially if we leave all of these singularity makers going, because we'll come back and eventually we'll have just a large amount of singularities, and we'll be able to make as many of the ultimate singularities as we need. As I said, next time we'll come back, we'll look at potentially starting to autocraft stuff like the infinite storage disk and the creative storage upgrade. We're probably not going to start on things like the creative storage upgrade until we have enough Insanium Essence. We're at 2,600, so we're over 10% of the way there, but it might well be in our best interest, like I mentioned, to put another row or two on here, because I don't think it's going to take us that long to craft everything else here, but I think we'll do that next time. We'll look at crafting everything that doesn't require the Creative Essence, like the second Everlasting Guilty Pool, all of the controllers, all of the energy cubes, all of the Creative Fluid Tanks, and of course the Infinite Storage Disk, and there are a lot of things as well, like the Draconium Chest as well here, which thankfully isn't too difficult for us to make. How are we doing on Unobtainium? We have managed to acquire 65, which is way more than we need. We don't need anywhere near that amount. And so, yeah, I really don't think we have too much more left to do in this pack chat, and I think we're pretty close to being able to craft this creative chest and calling it a day on Mystical Block. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Mystical Block there.